Here are some of the answers for today's lesson. So question 158, the first one, 4 to the negative third times 4 to the seventh. If we had 4 to the third times 4 to the seventh, we would just add the exponents. We saw that for the warm-up question. In this case, even though one's negative, we have the same shortcut, just going to add the exponents. And negative 3 plus 7 is a positive 4, so that's why we get 4 to the fourth power. The second one, letter B, is 5 times x to the fourth raised to the third power. And we have to remember that we are grouping. So we have 5 times x to the fourth, which looks like a single 5 times x 4 times. And all of this then gets multiplied 3 times. So it's 3 groups of this. So I don't have enough room to write the whole thing out this way, so I'll just kind of continue down below it, showing you the 3 different groups. And now you look see how many 5s we've multiplied, 3 of them, and how many x's, 4, 8, 12. So that's what the simplified answer should look like. Letter C is the division problem. So 3 to the seventh divided by 3 to the fourth. And this is the one where you try and make the giant ones. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Divide by 3 to the fourth. Find your giant ones and see what you have left. And it looks like I have 3 to the third, which is the answer. And the final problem, probably the most difficult problem, we have 4x to the fifth times 3x to the negative eighth. So this problem does not have an exponent on the outside of the parenthesis. I'm going to write this out the long way. So 4x to the fifth looks like 4 times x times x times x times x times x times, because you're multiplying these together, so it's just times another 3. The catch is that this is x to the negative eighth, and if you recall, when you have a negative exponent, that's the same thing as having that value in the other half of your fraction. So if I make a fraction, I'm going to have x to the eighth in the denominator. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm just going to simplify. So find any giant ones and see what's left. So I have 12 in the numerator, because 4 times 3 is 12. In the denominator, I have left x, x, and x. So I have x to the third. So that's one way to write the answer. If you don't want a value in the denominator, you could also go 12 times x to the negative third power. Because again, that negative 3 just flips it to the other half or other side of your fraction. All right, 159. 159 is asking you to write the slope between those 2 points and then the rule, which would be the linear equation for it. So the 2 points that were given to you are 2, 1, and it looks like 4, 2. So here's the line that would go through it. If I want the slope, I just have to do a slope triangle. So the height of this slope is going to be 1 unit. The width of this slope triangle is 2 units, so I would just do 1 over 2, or 1/2 is my slope. So I'm going to write the equation. I know that I have y equals 1/2 times x, but I still have to find the y-intercept. Now I might have a guess of what the y-intercept is, but to get the exact value, there actually could be a little algebra involved. So I might as well show you that. We can take one of the points from our graph. Let's say this first one here, 2, 1. I'm going to write that down. 2 is your x value, 1 is your y value, and in my equation, I can now replace the x with 2 and the y with the 1. So 1 equals 1/2 times 2 plus b, and then I just keep solving. Half of 2 means you have 1. So 1 plus what number gives you 1? Well, it has to be 0. So b, or the y-intercept, is 0, which means my equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 0. And that actually probably makes pretty good sense because in this graph, if I were to go back 1 unit, the value go down 1/2. That's the pattern we saw. If it goes back another, it goes down 1/2, and sure enough, it goes through 0. And the final question, Clay and his friend Lacey are making cookies for the school dance. Clay started early and has already made 3 dozen cookies. He can make an additional 2 dozen cookies an hour. So we want to be able to write an equation for this. So the equation itself, because Clay started and already has 2 dozen cookies, or sorry, 3 dozen cookies, I'm going to go plus 3. And it says that he can make an additional 2 dozen cookies every hour. So that means I'm going to have 2x plus 3. And the equation for Lacey has not started making cookies yet, but she has a bigger oven and can make 4 dozen cookies an hour. So if she hasn't made any cookies yet, plus 0 is the y-intercept. And if she makes 4 dozen every hour, it'd be 4x plus 0. And now we want to know how many cookies, or how long will it take for them to have the same number of cookies, and how many cookies is that? So I'm going to use the equal values method, which means because they both equal a y, I'm going to stick both equations together. So I'm going to take 2x plus 3 and make it equal, because we want to know when they have the same amount of cookies, to 4x plus 0. And now I solve for x. So minus 2x will give me 3 equals 2x plus 0. I'm going to, well, the 0 I don't need to really worry about, so I really have 3 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2, and you get 3 halves. If you prefer decimals, 3 halves is 1.5. So that means, as I minimize this again, they make this per hour. So in 1.5 hours, they'd have the same amount of cookies. And how much is that? Well, for Clay, his equation, make this bigger again. His equation says he makes 2 cookies every hour. So I go 1.5 times 2 hours plus, or 2 cookies per hour, sorry, times 3 equals 6 cookies. And if I try it for Lacey, it's 4 cookies times the hour and a half, so 4 times 1.5 plus 0 also gives me 6 cookies. So that's how the answer is. After an hour and a half, they both would have 6 cookies.